Hey, welcome back to your favorite technical math class. We're going to take a look today at integers and a simple order of operations. Let's remind you a little bit about what the integers are. If you remember from last time, we talked about real numbers and the natural numbers, right? Our counting numbers. The counting numbers or the natural numbers are a subset of the whole number. So the whole numbers include 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. And then the integers also includes the negatives. So the whole numbers as well as the negatives of the natural numbers there. So that's our integers. Let's talk about the absolute value. Um, which is its distance from 0. So, for example, the absolute value of -3 is a 3 units from 0. So the absolute value of -3 is 3. The absolute value of 4 would be 4 because it's 4 units from 0. There is an algebraic definition that we can get to later in the course. But this section, we're going to go ahead and do a bunch of integer addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Then we'll get into operations with real numbers. So here's our procedure for adding signed numbers. If they have like signs, same sign, sum them up, and different signs, subtract. So for example, 3 plus 2, they're both positives. Same sign, sum them up, right? If I'm at 3 and I add 2, go in the positive direction, I end up at 5, right? And same sign subtract, or same sign sum. So for example, -3 minus 2. Now if I'm at -3 and I subtract 2, I go more in debt. I'm in debt -3. I go more in debt, $2 more. Now I end up at -5. I'm $5 in debt. So same sign sum, different signs subtract. Let's do this first when we have -7 plus 3. So I'm in debt $7, but then I pay off $3. -7 plus 3 is 4. So if I'm here at -7 and I add 3, I end up at -4. Now on this next one, you see how we've got two signs, -3 plus a -9 there? I like to simplify those. So a positive times a negative is a negative. Let's just remind you of that. A positive times a positive is a positive. A good thing that happens to a good person is a good thing. A positive times a negative is a negative. A good thing that happens to a bad person is a bad thing. A negative times a positive is a negative. A bad thing that happens to a good person is a bad thing. And finally, a negative times a negative is a positive. A bad thing that happens to a bad person is a good thing. So we've got a positive times a negative here. So plus times a negative, that's a minus. So really we have -3 minus 9. I'm in debt $3. I'm going in more debt. And now I'm in debt $12. Let's do part C. 2 plus a -12. A positive times a negative is a negative. So I have $2 and I'm going in debt $12. 2 minus 12 is -10. D is 2 minus 9. There's no double signs here. So we just do the 2 minus 9. I have $2. I'm going in debt $9. Now I'm in debt $7. -2 minus 9, they have the same sign sum. I'm in debt $2. I'm going in more debt, $9. Now I'm in debt $11. And finally, -2 minus a -9. I'm going to clean up the double sign there. Negative times a negative is a positive. I'm in debt $2 and I'm paying off $9. 9 minus 2, or -2 plus 9 is 7. I'm in the plus $7. Here's some real world examples of that. If the temperature of a fluid is -10 and it increases by 5, now I'm at -5 degrees Celsius for part A, right? For part B, if the temperature decreases, I have -10 and it decreases by 8, now I'm negative 18 degrees Celsius is my resultant temperature. All right, let's get into multiplication and division now. The commutative property of multiplication just says 2 times 3 is the same as 3 times 2, right? The associative property says 2 times 3 times 2, so you do 3 times 2 first, is the same as 2 times 3 times 2, right? So we'll do some more with the associative property as well with our order of operations. Now, what does multiplication mean? What does 3 times 4 mean? Let me get my 3 times 4. That means I have 3 sets of 4 being added up. So 3 times 4 is 12. Or I have 4 sets of 3. 3 times 4 is the same as 4 times 3 by the commutative property. So I have 4 sets of 3 being added up. Either way, 3 times 4 is the same as 4 times 3. They're both 12, right? Now, we talked about remembering, positive times a positive is a positive and so on. But let's multiply some different signs. So negative 7 times 3. Negative times a positive is a negative. So for an example would be paying your mortgage debt for 12 months at $1,000, right? So you do it. Oh gosh, what is this wigging out on me? I'm sorry about that, but yeah, you're paying your mortgage debt. So you're you're losing $1,000 that you're paying 12 times. So 12 times losing 1,000, you're losing $12,000. Of course, that's a good thing, is to pay your mortgage. Obviously, you get some equity in your home. Let's do some multiplying same signs. So a negative times a negative is a positive. Bad thing happens to a bad person is a good thing. So real life would be your boss pays your mortgage debt. So your boss is losing 1,000. Your boss is paying it. Negative 12 times negative 1,000, 12,000. Right? Your boss, it's like a bonus 12,000 because your boss is paying it off for you, right? I wish that were the case. 0 times any number is 0. If I have 0 sets of negative 16, there are 0 of them, right? Now, procedures for dividing sign numbers: a positive divided by a positive, still a positive. A positive divided by a negative is a negative. Negative divided by a positive is a negative. And finally, a negative over a negative is a positive, right? And we'll talk about zeros as well. So let's do this first one. We got 42 divided by a negative 7. Positive over a negative is a negative. And you go ahead and take 42 and divide it by 7. You get the 6. Negative 39 divided by negative 3. Negative over a negative is a positive. So you get positive 13. Negative 72 divided by 9. Negative over positive is a negative. And 108 divided by 4, positive over a positive gives you a positive. Negative over a negative gives you a positive. 119 divided by 7, by the way, 17. 0 divided by anything is 0, right? Let's talk about that for a minute. If you have 2/3 of a pie, right? I split it up into 2/3. I'm eating 2/3. I'm splitting the pie into thirds, and I'm eating 2/3 of it. So if I split it up into 17ths, let's ignore the negative for a minute. I'm eating 0 of the 17ths of the pie, right? Again, ignore the negative for a minute on that one to make my point. Now, if I take 6 and divide it into 0 pieces, I can't divide by 0. This does not exist. This is undefined. Cannot divide by 0. We can't divide anything into 0 pieces, right, if you will. Can't divide by 0. And by the way, if you want more of a explanation of this, you could take calculus, which talks about examining the function y equals 1 over x as x approaches 0 from both sides. If you want a more in-depth discussion about why you cannot divide by 0. All right, now let's get into the order of operations. If you remember with the order of operations, oftentimes it's taught as, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. First, we're going to do any parentheses or grouping symbols. Then we do any exponents, and then we'll multiply and divide from left to right in that order, and then we'll add and subtract at the end from left to right. PEMDAS, P-E-M-D-A-S. So let's go ahead and do it, and we're doing it with some simple order of operations. We don't have any exponents for the time being. But let's go ahead and do I have any parentheses? I do not. Do I have any exponents in this example? I do not. How about multiplying or dividing? Oh, I do have some division. So I'm going to go ahead and do this next. So 48, and then a negative 20 divided by 2 is a minus 10 times 5 plus 9. I still have some multiplication. So now I'm going to go negative 10 times 5. And now it's all addition and subtraction. And so I've got negative 48 minus 50, sorry about that, is negative 2 plus 9. And then negative 2 plus 9 gives us 7. Let's do some more here. 18 divided by negative 9. So we're going to do notice there's no parentheses, brackets, and stuff to clean up, right? And when I say parentheses, brackets, that would be like stuff inside. You know, I would do the parentheses first, 4 times 3, and then I'd do 4 times 3, 12, plus 2. You know, that would be an example of cleaning up parentheses first. But here we got 18 divided by negative 9 times 3. So we'll do the multiplication, division, left to right. 18 divided by 9 is negative 2. And then negative 2 times 3 gives us negative 6. Here we've got all multiplication, so we'll again do it left to right. Negative 18 times negative 3. Well, negative 18, negative times a negative is a positive, right? Let's do this next one. Notice this is all subtraction and addition, so I'm just going to go left or right on this. 6 minus 24 is negative 18. And then negative 18 plus 4, I got negative 14. And then negative 14 plus 4, I got negative 10. Negative 10 minus 3 is negative 13. And negative 13 plus 1, I got negative 12. Oh, I just realized I wrote that plus 4 twice on that. My goodness. Right here. Whoops, daisy. I already had cleaned that up. Let me clean that up. Sorry about that. Let's do that. That is messed up. Negative 18 plus 4, I got negative 14. Don't write that twice. And then negative 14 minus 3, I get negative 17 plus 1. Sorry about that. Negative 16. All right, let's do this last one. I've got some subtraction. I've got some division, multiplication. So we'll do that division and multiplication left to right. So I'm going to do that negative 24 divided by 4 first. So I got 36 minus the 6, negative 24 divided by 4 times 3. So let's do the multiplication now. So 36 minus the 18. And then we got addition, subtraction. So 36 minus 18 is 18 plus 1 ends up being 19. And that's kind of an overview to get you started on L2. Thanks for watching. See you next time.